I was watching E.T. the hip hop preacher yesterday, and he was talking about his inspirational speaker, and he was talking about strive to be different in 2025, and he brought up Steph Curry as an example. And he's like, Steph Curry doesn't even shoot from the 3-point line; he draws from the logo.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Welcome to another episode of the Shaping Freedom with Lisane Basquiat podcast. I am so excited about today's guest, someone whose art speaks volumes and whose work has touched so many lives. Joining us this morning is Cbabi Bayoc, a renowned artist whose vibrant and meaningful work uses color, culture, and storytelling to create a powerful narrative about life, love, and family. You may know him from his groundbreaking series, 365 Days with Dad, which redefines images of Black fatherhood, or from his inspiring murals, collaborations, and also similarly his album artwork for Prince. You may also know him from a piece that he sent to me recently that I usually have behind me. And for those of you who are on YouTube, this is the piece that Cbabi sent after my conversation with Amber. And we'll talk about this piece that I'm so grateful for. So what makes this conversation even more special, as I just alluded to, is that last fall, I had the pleasure of speaking with Cbabi's equally creative, beautiful, and inspiring wife, Amber. We talked about her incredible work at Lead with Dharma and the beauty of balance in business, family, and life. Today, we'll explore and continue to explore that dynamic through Cbabi's lens, diving into your journey of creativity, the power in art to tell stories. And I'd love to hear more about what you've learned about resilience and transformation in recent years, and in particular this year that is coming out of the gate with a bang. I know this conversation is going to be one that you all don't want to miss. Let's go ahead and get started. Cbabi, I want to thank you because I know this is short notice. So thank you so much for being willing to spend a little bit of time with me to have this conversation and to connect. And
You could have gave me 2 hours notice. I'd have been on. So.
I appreciate that. I really do. After speaking with Amber, wanted to chat with you. I've been following you and love your work, love the storytelling, and would love to know a little bit. Maybe we'll just start off with a little bit about your journey as an artist.
You know what? Out the gate, I'd like to tell people that I started actually in college. I mean, I took one class in high school, but I didn't have any drive. So I see the skill when I look back at some of my work, but I understand my teacher saying, it might not be for you because I didn't really care about school. So, but once I was going to graduate from high school, I was one of those students that found out when that you can go to the community college without taking the SAT or the ACT. So I didn't take them. And so I knew that I was just going to go to the community college. And so when I got there, it was either math, which I was good at, or art. And I decided to major in art and never looked back.
Now, what was your plan with art at that point?
Well, you got to think, I was in O'Fallon, Illinois. This was 1990. And so there was no blueprint on what an artist even looks like besides my professor at SWIC, Southwest Illinois College. It was BAC at the time. So if you hear me say BAC, that rings better with my heart. So, but yeah, he always spoke about New York, and yeah, he was there when your brother was there. Like, he was telling his prize students, to go to New York to make it. So that's all we knew. Other than that, we don't know what that means. You don't know nothing about studio, gallery, being broke, that you really ain't making the money. We don't know none of that. Only thing I knew was good times. So I got JJ shirt on. But yeah, so I didn't have a blueprint. I just knew I wanted to draw. And so those 2 years, I fell in love with it. And then a counselor at the school had a relationship with Grambling State University, and so she came to the black side of the cafeteria and asked any of us if we were interested in going to Grambling. And I was like, I'm down. It sounds easy. Easy was my lane. So I jumped on it, yeah, and again, never looked back.
Wow. And so I guess you found your drive.
I did. I didn't find it at the first school, but once I got to Grambling, it kicked in. And so earlier I mentioned that, you know, when I first started doing art, I was born in Clifford, and so I started signing my artwork Cbabi, Cbaby.
Oh,
Yeah, and so when I got to Grambling, I took a Key Swahili class, and I was like, I didn't really want to say Cbaby out loud, so I saw, we were pronouncing words in there, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, consonants that we don't necessarily put together in the English language can go together in my own native language. So let me just make up an abbreviation. And so I came up with Creative Black Artists Battling Ignorance. So that's how, so Cbabi was born at Grambling.
creative Black artists battling ignorance.
And I didn't know what that meant, but it just sounded cool.
You may not have known what it meant at the time, but I think that is, I did not know that. And I think that is what so many uh, artists of color wind up doing.
Right.
That's the way
Absolutely.
to respond to what's happening in the world, which is a great segue into you have a very unique way of expressing your characters, and it seems that you take characters that might appear to be the most vulnerable and you add layers of complexity and power to them. I'd love to know more about how you got to that.
You know what? That's a great question. I love documentaries. I love to hear people's stories. I love to watch people's stories. And I heard somebody recently mention the look that my characters have, which I never really thought about until they said something about it. That they're not always smiling. They look like something's going on.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think I am attracted to that. And yeah, there's so many layers to what's going on right now, because I even feel a transformation happening, as we speak, in the way I'm working. Because yeah, the bold color. I came out of a caricature booth at Six Flags, so that has a lot to do with my love of faces and expressions and the different shapes and all that. So
You're saying that you worked at a caricature booth?
yeah, one of my first art jobs was at Six Flags as a caricature artist.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my first, and it's influenced my whole life, honestly. To this day, I still, one of the things they taught us to do was to put in the eyeballs last, and I still do that. Like finish the whole paint, and then boom, they come to life. Not
Okay.
all the time, but a lot of times I do. And now we mention it, I'm going to go back to that because that's definitely sentimental doing that. But yeah, I think I'm always observing people and watching and looking and wondering what's going on with people in their life, and I realize that we don't even know what's going on in people's lives because people show us only what they want to show us. And just like myself, I think people will see. I think we feel people can see what's going on with us, but they can't. So that has something to do with the way that, like lately, my portraits have had a lot of patterns and things going on in the face, because it's almost like speaking to that, like I'm, walking around and I feel so vulnerable and like everybody can see what I'm dealing with, but we can't. We just see you. But this is just hinting this, all these patterns and things hinting like there's a lot of life, and trying to want to get us to own it. Like those are our beauty scars. Like those are our marks that make us unique. They might feel terrible while we're going through them, but I mean, they're our story. They're what it is. And the more we share it, we don't realize who we're touching and blessing, but we got to get to the point where we're okay even talking about it. So I think I'm trying to do and say all that with my paintings.
Wow. On your beauty scars. I love that because I think we so often try to hide what's going on because there's this push to show um, the fakest reality of our
Yes,
lives.
that's where we are right now. Yes,
And yeah, and to hide and cocoon like an animal when things aren't going so great.
absolutely.
What does art do for you?
Everything. It's my go-to when happy, sad, frustrated. It brings me peace. Like I literally draw all day. Like I'm addicted to my iPad. And I just because my output is so strong, it feeds that.
Mm,
So it's a tool that I've learned very well to use. I put in my 10,000 hours. And so now I'm trying to I ain't trying. Now I'm making it work for me. So um the art, yeah, it's just and sometimes it drives me crazy because sometimes I can't turn it off. Like even as we were walking here and the patterns that the salt made on the sidewalk, I'm with my camera just like, and they become background patterns in my artwork, or they come the they come the composition for my abstracts. Like, and sometimes I have to make myself like put the phone down, everything, close my eyes because otherwise I'm watching TV shows and I hit rewind just like to take a picture, like because I love the composition, like it just like so all day. It's all day. It's my everything.
I know someone who was like that.
Yeah. Full transparency. I've watched the Radiant Child documentary at least 500 times. When I was doing 365 Days with Dad, I think I watched it twice a day
Oh, wow.
because it was my background noise. So yeah, because I was like that. I was like, just paint, just keep painting, paint, paint, paint. Yeah,
Just keep going. I love that. I think that my brother has, what I am happy about most is the impact that he's had on other generations of artists who,
that's his legacy. Yeah,
yeah, that is most of his legacy, I think. Um,
right.
you mentioned the series 365 Days with Dad. Will you share a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So 2012, I started 365 Days with Dad, and so before that, I was trying to do the art fair circuit, and I just couldn't really. Yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't find my vibe. I couldn't find my people. I just wasn't selling. And so this is, these are early days of Facebook. And so somewhere in my little mind, just like coming up with my name, I was like, what if I, do a painting a day a price and a surprising size? If I post that every day, could I sell it? And in my mathematical mind, I'm looking at, what did I need to make every day and what could that yearly amount be that's decent. And so I came up with $200. Um, and then you know decided on the theme Black Fatherhood because I'd always wanted to do it. And yeah, I put a call out on Facebook, and I was like, hey, next week, 2 weeks from now, I can't remember when I got the idea, but I just posted, I'm gonna start this dad project. I need some photos because I'm worried about running out of inspiration. And I got a few, and so January 1 came. I did the first one, posted it, got a little buzz. And I think by like day 3 or 4, folks are like, wait a minute, he's like really doing something every day. And then it wasn't long before that it became a commission based project because people started emailing me, and because I wasn't on Instagram at the time, or I don't even know if Instagram was even happening yet. But yeah, I got emails from folks like, hey, can we request dates and, birthdays and anniversaries? And so it just took off, and so yeah, I thought I was just doing a way to make money every day, and pick a theme that, I had always wanted to work on, and it just became more than that. It became my identity. Like I got 360, I got the logo that I came up with on the back of my neck, kind of like a barcode,
Hmm.
like it's part of my identity now, like that, the image of Black fathers.
What did that project teach you?
That art is more than just art. I got people telling me that they were crying and they were, people were getting up with their kids in the morning to see what I posted. Like I was making a statement, and I ain't really thought of my work before that doing that, but it told me that art can really transform, you know, lives outside of just currency and hanging on a pretty wall. Like it actually touched people's lives.
Yeah. What did you observe about Black fatherhood through that project?
My own insecurities, because I had these amazing letters, And so again, Lens is just looking in, like, people write. The woman could have been mad at her husband, but she still wrote something beautiful. Like, but all I saw was beautiful words. So I was just like, you know, do I fit this? Like, so I actually was feeling that most of the time I was working on the project. So Amber was reading something recently about, I don't know, it was my daughter was interviewed and asked me about the project, and her comment was he needs to rest. Like his beard is getting grayer.
To tell
So
the truth.
yeah, and that's real. Like, because I was really stressed out, but I had to commit to it. So it actually wound up taking 2 years and 3 months. I got 255 of them done the first year, but then the money was gone, and so the second year and 3 months, I had to take on other jobs. And me and my first wife had a restaurant. We had 3 kids. Her mom died. Our dog died. I'm taking paintings and easels to the bowling alley because my kids are on a field trip. Like, it was a lot, but I made it.
That's so funny. It's funny that you started this conversation talking about or mentioning that you didn't have drive. And it's so funny how maybe you didn't at the time, but you found it. So you were kind of holding it back until a future date when it would be needed,
My drive's stronger now than it's ever been.
because it takes an incredible amount of drive to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I just didn't want to fail. Like, I've stopped a lot of things and didn't finish them, and I didn't want this to be another one because it meant too much.
The last 4 years, and particularly this year, has been challenging for a lot of people for a lot of reasons.
Amen.
Let's talk about that as it relates to your art, or you as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
How the world has evolved, and how your art, if it has evolved given the polarity of things over the last, since 2020.
Yeah, I think honestly, even for me, I think even since 2014, like, because I'm right here in St. Louis, and so not too long after I finished the project, Mike Brown was killed, and so Ferguson popped off, and so I had a lot more fist showing up in my paintings. But definitely since 2020, I think about a lot of things, like just all this "Make America Great Again." Like, I struggle with how to, do I approach that or do I ignore it and just keep doing what I'm doing? But I'm like, I always have this narrative in the back of my mind, and I believe it's true that it's almost impossible, in my opinion, to be black in America and not be political. Like, even when we don't try to. So I'm like, if I just own that, what does it look like? And it doesn't always have to look like an ink painting. Even, I think it was trying to think of the brother's name, Derek. What is Derek's last name? But anyway, he had a painting series, I think a poolside series or something. But he talked about joy being revolutionary, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, like, in this country, we have not. A lot of us have not had the opportunity and the blessing to just rest and just enjoy a moment. And
Yeah.
so I've learned that even my character smiling and all that, like, is saying something. So I just can't get away from it. Like, and so now I'm sitting in it and owning it, and just seeing, okay, how do I do it differently, and how I do it in a way that is always going to influence me, but also influence others. Because that other piece I won't, for most part, not ever know. Besides a few people who reach out or tap me on the streets, but you just, I move on intention and not always expecting the immediate gratification, which I desire a lot. So,
I struggle with the same thing. I struggle with, there are all these things that are happening, and my platform and message is about ultimately finding joy in our lives. I think that there's so much of a push, which is just doesn't make sense to me, a push to not feel joy, or that joy is this kind of unreachable thing that people who aren't connected to the world live in the illusion of. I believe something different. I believe that we were meant to live a life that's joyful, and that doesn't mean that there aren't struggles and things that push against that, but that ultimately it's our job and we owe it to ourselves to push for joy in the areas where we have control and where we can. We can't control the politics of this country beyond, the transaction that, some of us take, every 4 years, and in between as well. Outside of that, I believe our work here is to find joy and love, express love and find joy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and have that be the baseline. And I think that having these paintings, these drawings that you do that have that smile, I love the way you portray it because there's a smile, but there's also a smile within the resistance. And I think resistance isn't always about running down the street with a brick. It can be the resistance to the ways that people are thinking that take us so far away from where we're really meant to be. Resistance
Absolutely.
from having family dynamics that are toxic and unhappy and miserable, and then teaching our children that that's the way you work hard and get things done.
Right.
And I see that in your work. I see all of that in your work. Do you know that we have a line of Shaping Freedom wellness products? Each are beautifully crafted and designed to support you in cherishing your mind, body, emotions, and soul. Carve out a sanctuary in your life with our Luxe sustainable yoga and meditation mats, essential oil candles, and more. Embrace self-care and reflection with every item, lovingly created to enhance your daily practice of spending time on you. Elevate your wellness journey with Shaping Sanctuary Collection because you deserve to feel balanced, nurtured, and inspired. Visit shapingsanctuary.com for more information.
Going back to the dad project, like that was just the way that it happened. Those paintings are all over the world. But besides Instagram, never really got to share it. And so now that I again have this new tool, my iPad, like, the goal is to revisit all of them
That would be amazing.
and just bring them anew because a lot of people have never seen my work. So it just be a whole nother experience. Like, and it's just me drawing my own work. So like, even in that struggle, I had to say, like, it's your paintings. Those are your lines. Those are your colors. Like, take them and change them. Like, and a lot of them were very personal, but again, caricature artists can just change the face. It still has the same meaning because every painting touched people that weren't necessarily the ones portrayed in that actual painting. So that they spoke to the spirit of the art. So definitely, yeah, going to revisit all of them in some way so they can just be shared and just so people can see them. Like, and just to revisit and see if those feelings come up again or see if anything's different. Like it's almost like a little something for myself too.
Are there stories to the paintings, the drawings that you do?
A lot of them, yes, but a lot of times I'm just attracted. I like people watching, and I like faces that have a lot of color, a lot of. But I think every painting represents somebody somewhere. The look, the feeling, the color. So there are stories to them sometimes that I don't even know. Like I don't always know why I'm attracted to something, but I do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And with that respect, like I can't always come up with a title because I was like, that's not. I didn't desire to draw this because I had a name for it. Like I just wanted to draw it. Like, and so even now that I'm done with it and I love it, I don't know what to call it. So sometimes I saw some artists and I was like, I assume that based on what they were listening to in the background, whatever music or somebody said on TV, now just what I do, like I'll scribble that joker right on the art, or figure out a way to do something, but then that'll become the name of it. Like, and it's still my truth, like, because
Mm.
yeah, it was there while I was working on it. So yeah, they all have a story, but I don't always need to know what the story is. Like, some people tell me what it says to them, and I love that.
Wow, I love that.
But there are some that I think are obvious, and then some that I think, like, they're looking at it like, okay, what am I supposed to see? And I was like, let's talk. What's going on in it? What's happening? Because I don't know either all the time.
What about the work that's behind you?
Yeah, this is called a storyteller, based on my granddad. Um, it's based on my granddad, but the positioning is kind of how my mom sat one day when we were visiting in Arkansas, and I took a picture of her. And then I thought about him sitting in his lounge chair in his house here in North St. Louis, and he was always telling stories. Not only is he always telling stories, but he literally had one of them old school Walgreens photo books of my work and drove all over St. Louis with it in his pocket. And while he's at the gas station pumping gas, he's gonna bust it out and show the person next to him pumping gas.
Oh, wow.
Like, he was my best PR ever. So yeah, the storyteller is what that painting right behind me is about.
What was his name?
Bill Adams. You
Bill
know,
Adams.
people call him Uncle Bill. He worked at the Alamo. He didn't walk. I don't know if he worked there or not. I think he worked there, but Alamo car at Lambert Airport in St. Louis, and so I rented so many cars from there while he worked there and got to know the people. Um, but yeah, he was very very cool. My mom and him got reconnected late. They had a interesting relationship. I don't know all the details, but they connected late, and so I got to hang out with him I got to hang out with him on his last day, actually. Like, me and my first wife went to his house. He called me. I think he called me, said he couldn't breathe. We went to his house, saw him, and we literally watched him go right in front of us. And then he took a breath and came back. And all he was just scared of his wife not being able to get to him. And then, while we were there, we called 911. Went to the VA hospital. Took my grandma, or I met her there, and went to find out where he was. They didn't know where he was. And later on, they found him in the bathroom, gone, because somebody took him in there in the wheelchair and had him get a urine test. I mean, a urine sample, and it was a VA hospital, and that was it.
Hmm.
I didn't go see him in there, but they came out and told us what had happened. So yeah, I didn't expect to share all that, but I mean, that's the story.
Did he get to see his wife?
She didn't get to see him. Nope, she didn't get to see him. I don't. You know what? I never thought about that. Like, yeah, wherever she went, and he was at home. Yeah, I don't think she even knew that was his last time seeing him. Yeah, I
Wow.
never thought about that. That's crazy. Which also is a lesson in preciousness of all of this. Like, we don't know when our time is coming.
Hmm.
That's
No, we
honest. Like,
don't.
my sister just passed last week.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry to
and
hear that.
again, we got to see her transition and cancer, but just don't know when. And she's 4 years younger
Yeah.
than me. So, yeah,
Life is, time is time, I think, and the quality of the time is like one of the most important assets that we have, that so many, that I think it behooves us to pay attention to that.
absolutely.
I'm sorry to hear that. My thoughts are with your family. I know how challenging that is, both in the immediate first days and over time.
Right. Absolutely. But yeah, it was honestly, it was a 3 year struggle. So I think a lot of us are taking it better knowing she's not going through that anymore, because it was rough. So honestly, I mean, she's very faithful. So I think, yeah, even she had 3 kids, ex-husband, they're doing amazing and better than I thought. Even my mom, who moved there to help her raise her kids, but now she has this dope relationship with my sister's kids, like no other. So um, her purpose was what it was. Like, she came here and she touched people in an amazing way, and that was what she was both born to do. And then she checked out. Like, yeah, we don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's definitely I got definitely good feelings and thoughts. But yeah, I appreciate that.
And that's a beautiful way to see it, also, because I think that is, or I believe that that is actually what it is. We're here. There's a purpose. We don't know when it's done, you know. Um,
Absolutely.
And the goal and intention is to do everything that we can in that time, make that time quality.
Yeah, we sitting here talking. I got guns and fists and stuff up in here. I'm ready to cover some stuff up and like switch it up. Like there's another way to do this. Yeah, things don't have to look like this. Yeah.
So, in your story, you talked about starting off as you started your story as a student, an academic student, and have woven in pieces of your life along the way through this conversation. What advice do you have for aspiring artists who are trying to find their identity as an artist or find their way?
Mm. Yeah, it's such an interesting world right now where, um, and like, I mean, it's just not an elephant in the room. Like your brother, I'm looking at a lot of people on Instagram try to paint just like him. I'm like, that's easy to do, but you don't know why painted that way or what is feeling when putting certain words on. Like you're just mimicking. And I know some people can do that and then transform and come up with their own words and this, that, and the other. But I just think, um, from personal experience, I look back at my sketchbooks and I'm amazed at how some similarities in the way I paint now reflect the lines that I had in junior high. But even, I mean, not junior high, junior college, but even back then, I too was one of those like, ooh, what's my style gonna be? And and it was already developing. I just wasn't aware of it because you just got all this stuff in your head about what it's supposed to look like, what you need to work on more, and this, that, and the other. But a lot of times, I think people have it. I think they just need to accept it, and they need to just be there with it. And as life it's gonna change, whether you want it to or not. Actually, I feel like you got to force yourself to stay the same. Like I got so many new influences now. Like,
You have to work so hard not to change in this world, in this
yeah,
life journey, for
really,
sure.
seriously, because we go through so much. Like, and I didn't know I was gonna love abstract work. I was gonna love graffiti. Never did it, but I can't stop looking at it. Like those cats inspire my lines and my bold color. Like, and I had kids, and I love children's books, and then I got all the, so didn't know. Just let life happen, and then little sparks come. You draw, sketch, paint. Put it aside. It doesn't look like what you're working on now, but my big thing is like, how do I try to sprinkle all of them in. Like there's a point where I thought I only want to do abstracts. And so every time I got a mural job, I'm trying to sprinkle the background with what I want my work to look like just to let people know it's still going to be me. And then I just got to go back and say, no, you love faces. Just you don't necessarily want to paint them just like the photo and all this. So I think people need to just trust that it's happening inside. And it's okay to look at a lot of work because I do too. Um, but it doesn't necessarily mean you need to copy everything that you love. Just take it in and look at it and study it, and ask yourself what do you like about it, and then look at your own work and see how can you take what you love and put it here. You know, I think the younger you are, yeah, copy those things, draw them. I love seeing people copying my stuff on, Instagram, kids and students, and I love the purity of kids' lines. And yeah, that's I mean that's really my lesson. But I love to tell people is that learn to love where you are right now.
Mm,
And then the thing that you want to improve, if you want to draw hands better, you want to draw faces better, find somebody who does it or take a class and then study, but then take what you know and then, throw away what you don't want and keep what you want and then do it. But you're not even just outside of art, just we got to be okay with where we are right now because now is all there is. Anything shame, this, that, and the other, like all that, like even I got to shake that up, but put that stuff in my art, man. Like I said, my art is everything. Like now journaling, I don't like to journal. I like to sit down and write and all that. So if I have a thought, I'll scratch that joker. I'll just write it real fast on the canvas or on a piece of paper and take a picture of it. And then people don't know it. It's in the background, but I'm cussing or whatever, but I'm getting it out, but it's there. So yeah, we just got to accept, we got to accept now. And
yeah.
that's something you want to get better at, work on it, and then trust the process. Don't worry. It doesn't need to be tomorrow. Because a lot of times there's so many things I've wanted to do. And I'm like, man, I thought about that last January. Had I done that, I'd be dangerous right now. But now it's like, oh, so now, okay, start now. You don't know where you'll be 2 years from now, but we just got to start.
Yeah.
But we got to accept now.
I appreciate that very much. First of all, you just dropped so many gems. And I'm writing them down, and I hope those who are listening rewind and do that also if they haven't already. One thing I appreciate that you said is, and I had a couple of situations where I got into a challenging conversation with people about uh, copying my brother Jean-Michel Basquiat's work and the difference and the delicate line between copying someone else's work and being inspired by a person for their work, for who they are, for what they've brought to the table. And I really appreciated hearing you say that as an objective person, because the times that I've had that conversation, the in one particular conversation, the person pushed back hard and they were like, well, you're just saying that because. And the because is about owning yourself, owning your own identity, owning your own experiences. And as an artist, putting that on the canvas or paper or however it is that you express your art on film, whatever it is. It's not about not being like Jean Michel, it's about being like yourself, because if you're truly paying attention, that's the thing that he was doing. He was an artist who got inspiration from other artists, of course, but who put his own unique voice on the way that he expressed and what his output was. And I think that that is and I'm glad that I heard it through you. That is a wonderful lesson also for emerging artists. Be you, accept yourself, accept where you are.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite parts of the documentary is seeing that connection between his drawing and then where he came from. Drawing source. Like, yeah, because
Yeah.
a lot of times I mean, just like when you're looking at anything when people are live drawing, like we're all looking at the same model, but everybody's going to draw it differently. And I'm an illustrator by trade, so I have to challenge myself with this all the time. Like, I'm on Instagram and Pinterest junkie. I love photos, and I start working on them, but I'm a caricature artist too, so I can look at the photo and draw that joker fast, and now those lines are mine. And I might love the colors that they used and the background and this, that, and the other. And I have to challenge myself, like, okay, they're wearing a pink shirt, make it yellow, put your own folds in their patterns, find another shirt, spill that in there. Like, I got to push myself too, because yeah, it's easy to copy. I could do that. Like, I've been done that. Like, but how do I make it mine? Like, I want people to be like, damn, like, where'd that come from?
That's what
Like,
draws people in. That's what draws people in. Right.
yeah, the uniqueness of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching ET, the hip hop preacher, yesterday. He was talking about, his inspirational speaker, and he was talking about strive to be different in 2025, and he brought up Steph Curry as an example. And he's like, Steph Curry doesn't even shoot from the 3-point line. He draws from the logo, and like other coaches and teams don't even know what to do with that because he could shoot so far. Like, but he had to put in the work to be able to do that. He's like, what's going to be your logo? What's going to be beyond, your example of beyond the 3-point line. And so that's what I strive for. Like, that's what I try to be an example of. Like, the currency isn't always dollars. The currency, a lot of times, is just, I love people who send me a passing message like, wow, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how you just paint that or where your brain is. Like, I love that. That's currency to me. That fuels me to keep going. Like,
Yeah.
and pushing myself, because I knew there was a time where I had a lot of insecurity about not having imagination and being able to draw out of my head. And everybody was like, "Ooh, you can draw out of your head." I didn't start off like that. I needed something to look at. I needed a photo to copy and change into my style. And so even now at 52, I have to own that. Like, that's okay that's who I am. That's how I work. Like, I see a photo, and I have to even trust myself and tell myself, like, even though you see that photo and you worry that you're gonna copy it because you like that photo so much, As soon as you paint, it's gonna change, and it's gonna be you don't even know what is gonna happen, but just let yourself be surprised.
HaraHub Carlsbad is a co working space and member community designed to empower entrepreneurs. More than just a workspace, HaraHub Carlsbad is a business accelerator and a connected network of successful entrepreneurs. Imagine a collaborative, serene, and spa inspired environment where you can thrive. Our unique community allows each member to be both a guide and a student, fostering leadership and continuous growth for both you and your business. Experience an uplifting, supportive atmosphere that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey. For more information about HaraHub Carlsbad or to schedule a tour, visit harahub.com/Carlsbad. We also have locations in Temecula, Irvine, Washington, D.C., and HaraHub Carlsbad is one of 3 HaraHub locations in San Diego, the others being in Mission Valley and La Jolla. You know, it's interesting. This has been a challenging week in the world for me. And, you know, a lot of people as well, but I'm speaking about my experience. And yesterday was a day where I didn't have a lot on my calendar in terms of meetings and things, which is a rare novelty. So I had a nice big stretch of time. And my plan was to put my head down, and I have a bunch of things that I have to do. I have a long list. Um, and that's not what I did. Other things happened. And one of the things that I thought to myself at the end of the day was, I know me, and I know that whatever it is that I need to do, it's going to happen. But I have a unique way of getting myself to a place where I can actually create the things that I intended to create and do the things that I need to do. And I need to follow that compass because that compass works. And we don't always have that freedom to do that. I can't do that every single day, but where I can find ways to make sure that I am in flow with the rhythm of my own unique creation that is me,
I love that. Yeah.
just doing that as often as whenever I can. That is my baseline. Get to that because I know that the result of that, the consequence of that is going to be so much better than anything that I'm able to create, trying to make sure that I'm filling in some way of doing things that other people define as the right way.
In today's world with hustle culture and that drive to be whatever, like scheduling and these things are important. That's never been my strength. I've I've often looked at it as a negative, but as you speak on it, like I definitely thrive in that space of um, sometimes just letting the day happen and being very flexible about it. Like I'm good with something changing. If things change, I don't usually fall apart over it. It's just like okay,
Hmm.
that's all right. Some difference happening. Because like you said, there are times when that the consequence doesn't work out. Like something goes awry. But for the most part, have the unexpected conversations with people, run into somebody, painted a little bit longer than I wanted to, but now I have this painting that inspires all these other paintings, or I heard a song that I wouldn't have heard unless I stayed in the studio a little longer. Like, that's where I but I have to know, like you said, I gotta mix that with okay, 11:30 I need to be sitting in front of the computer, or 3:30 I get this phone call. Like, but in between I allow that to be, move, have a little, flexibility. Definitely. Always. I'm always in that space.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important. And that's not specific to art, to visual artists. I think that if we all paid attention and learned what the rhythm of our own inner life really is, we would be in such a much better place. Like that is part of the path to joy, for sure. What's up for you in 2025?
Whew. Um, you know what? We're just on a path to make the business of art and what successful looks like be different. And when I say that, I was thinking yesterday morning, like I love to paint. Um, I got the studio. I think more than anything, I love to create. And so with my iPad, I'm trying to think how I worded it. I'm creating a digital portfolio that I can make a living off of now, while I work in between clients or whatever next opportunity is going to come. So I'm always in practice mode. That's what it is. Like I'm what's like 2025 going to be like? I'm going to stay in the gym, and when game time comes, I'm ready. I don't know what that game's going to look like. It's going to be corporate sometimes. It's going to be private. It's going to be a group of kids sitting on the floor in front of me. I don't know, but what I do know is every day I'm going to be drawing, and every day something's going to go on my store that could be sold, and something's going to come off. I'm in revamp mode, like, and I'm working on this year deconstructing a lot of the baggage that I've had around what the quote unquote art world has taught me, or I've heard, or I've watched, or I've listened to, or I've read about, or I've been professed. I'm letting all that stuff go because it's all garbage to me.
Good for you. I love that.
It's all some systems that ain't got nothing to do with us most of the time, and yeah, we just need to. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what my year looks like, a rebirth.
What I loved about what you just said, and I actually wrote that down, and I'm going to use this when I tell the people that I had a conversation with you. What's the one thing that you do know? And it's like, pick that one thing that you know you're going to do every day. And then everything else will kind of make its way around that. But knowing that one thing, uh, that is beautiful. And it's kind of inspiring all kinds of thoughts in me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that
Yeah,
gift.
right on. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go on Instagram Live after this and get some of this stuff out.
We should do an Instagram live to talk about this conversation once we've had a minute,
I would
like
love
in,
to.
in a week, in a week or two.
Let's do it.
Right before it launches, we should do that. Let's do
Oh,
that.
all right.
Okay. Question for you. How can we support you?
Ooh, that is a great question because, like I said, support isn't always financial. I think people just, and again, like sharing, just sharing my word, sharing my work. Yeah, on Instagram, I have an online store connected to my site. If you like something you see, yeah, that helps keep me going. I've been able to do this full time for almost 3 decades now. Like,
Excellent.
and it hadn't been on paintings; it's been on prints and murals, and like, yeah. So just my day to day, just people fuel me financially or through love. Like I'll take however people can afford to give it. If it's a smile or a thumbs up, word. If it's a $20 print, thank you. Because I've had conversations with people where they told me they spent their last $20 on one of my mini prints.
Mm,
That meant more than $20,000 sale of a painting. Like they chose my art over a bill. That's deep.
because it that art has a way of fueling you even to make, to create,
Absolutely.
to create and to be able to make something out of nothing. I will say this, and I don't know what this is called. There's no name on it, but you did this for me, and it is the cutest, most powerful thing that I could have gotten on the day that I actually opened this package. And I had it here for a minute and opened it up, and I have lotion under my nails. Anyway, I
I love that.
opened I opened it up, and I it was a day where I needed this boost, and
Nice.
it gave me such a boost. And I typically have it behind me in this corner here, but I'm redoing my office, and I will be keeping this behind me. Thank you so much for this. This was a beautiful, generous gift.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it so
I love
much.
podcasts, and so now you're in my Spotify.
Okay.
I'm on locked in. I
Okay.
love what you're doing. It's great,
Thank you.
and I know
Thank you
you're
so
just getting
much.
started. So
I am.
yeah,
I am.
cheers to you. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that yeah, there's a lot of work to do,
Absolutely.
in particular around families and around parenthood and all of that. And thank you for the contributions that you're making to um, to that very important work that we all have to do.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been an honor.
Yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. So if you see Cbabi's Instagram handle, which is
My first name and last name, Cbabi, and then last name is Bayoc, Bayoc. That's my Instagram.
so follow him. He has incredible work on there. Send him a nod, buy his work, share his work with those that you know will benefit from seeing powerful, powerful images and storytelling through those images. And thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it.
Right on. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cbabi Bayoc, for taking the time to sit down and share your story with me. I really enjoyed hearing about what art means to you and the way that art helps you to move through the world. There were so many gems in this conversation. Some that I picked up were you have to work so hard to not change. I loved that. He also shared with us the importance of staying true to yourself and of learning how to love where you are right now, to accept your now. As I mentioned, loved this story and this conversation so much. Thank you so much, Cbabi, for taking time to sit with me and have this conversation. And to you, my incredible audience, thank you so much for always listening. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat, and this is Shaping Freedom.